Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Tuesday, October 2nd, 2023. And what are we going to talk about today? Well, I was trying to get across yesterday that if you're not willing to give it your all, why give it at all, right? And a lot of people want to accomplish things, but they just don't have the tools. And I'm going to see if I can lay some of the tools out. And this goes hand in hand when I get asked, why is there such a wide variance when you see YouTubers that are talking about starting a small engine repair business or an auto repair business of, lows in dollar cents and then these crazy numbers? Where is the right number? And how do we come up with that right number to decide whether we're going to do it part-time, full-time? So stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back. My name is Eric, and this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Tuesday, October 2nd. So yesterday we talked about, about giving it your 110%, right? And what I can tell you right now, even though I may not know you personally, I know that there is nothing in this world that you can't accomplish if you so desire. Now, you're going to come back at me and say, well, I'm a young male and I can't have a baby. Come on, let's use some common sense. I'm just saying normal things, right? And that's what you need to get wired to your brain is you can do it. Absolutely, if that's what you want to do. But if you're not wired to wanting to do it, or it's kind of like a passing phase. And a passing phase is people just are confused about what they want in life, and how to go about it. And why even to try, They see so many people that are getting handouts that aren't working, and well, why should I work and make less money than those guys that are getting handouts, especially during COVID? That was terrible. Because you have a conscience, okay? And the conscience says, whatever I get out of life, I earned it. And if you have that mentality of, if I want to be able to say I earned it. Nobody give me, a big inheritance to just, jet set around the world or have yachts and this and that. Everything I have, I worked hard and I earned it. Now, that's not to say that pivotal people didn't help you along the way, because everything I've accomplished in my life, I've had help. Now, could I have done it without him? I don't know. I wouldn't want to. And when I say I had help, if somebody was willing to give me some information, guidance, I was willing to listen. I may not use it, but I always stop to learn something new. What advice was that person wanting to give me? And people will want to give you advice if you're open to it. If you're snarky and, you're go blow, they aren't going to give a rat's ass, right? So they aren't going to offer you any advice. They're not going to offer you any help to get to where you want to be. So how do we get the mindset of that 110%er, right? The 110%er is when you decide this is what I am going to do, and you do the research, you put your time in, and some goals are going to be short term, some goals are going to be long term. All right, and you're not going to realize them, but down the road. But you got to have waypoints in so that it keeps you on track, and it also keeps you energized to know that you're on the right path. And when you come up against something that didn't work, a bad experience, you've learned how to tailor it and turn it around so that it's a learning experience in your repertoire of what not to do. Of what not to do versus what to do, both are equally important. Because if you never make a mistake, then I've yet to meet anybody who's perfect. I've had people tell me they're perfect, but I have yet to meet an individual that was perfect. They may have believed they were perfect, but they were far from it. But in our life, we learn from our experiences. Right back to when I used to teach kids about hot and cold. About hot water, cold water. The stove was hot. This is cold. And when the kids come into this world, they don't know how to speak English, Japanese, Chinese. It's taught. They learn how to, right? So we're all gifted with the ability to learn. And I do believe a lot of it is in your upbringing. But I'll tell you, I've known folks that came from broken homes, came from abusive homes, came from low income where they didn't have anything, and shine. They were motivated. They did not want to be there. And that was one of their mantras throughout their young adult life was, this is not what I want for me and for my future family. I do not want this. The crime is terrible. There's drugs everywhere. I'm out of here. That's a hell of a motivator, right? Whereas somebody living in a good community with great parents and stuff like that, if they're great parents, they're allowing you to try everything and find your likes and dislikes, right? But to that motivator to get out of there is not there, right? So your mantra is going to be a little bit different of, I want to be the best I can at X. But if you listen to me long enough, I'm telling you right now that you don't want to define yourself by what your mantra is. I mean that, your mantra is your marching orders, right? But it doesn't define you as an individual. It defines you of where you want to end up. What do you want to accomplish? Like years ago, it used to be if you went to college, pretty much guaranteed a job, right? Is that the case now? Absolutely not. No. Right now, the big demand is in trades, carpentry, agricultural, things that are hands-on. That's what's in big demand. And they're making good money, right? The way to look at it is, notice how if you enjoy doing something, you become good at it because you're willing to put forth the effort because you like it. And then the things that you don't like, you don't become very good at because you despise or you can't. You've talked yourself into saying you can't do it. And that, let's say, is geometry, right? Can everybody learn geometry? Absolutely. who is going to get the most value out of geometry? Is someone that enjoys working with numbers, math, and it hasn't put up this thing in front of them that tells them, oh, I hate this, right? It's going to be somebody that looks at it and approaches it and says, I like doing this. So if you like doing this, you will excel. If you don't like doing things, then you're going to find reasons not to do them, right? And maybe putting off your homework at night, or, chalking up poor grades to I'm not good at it. And you're not good at it because you haven't applied yourself there. Just understand this is just facts of, if you don't apply yourself, why would you expect to get any kind of result back in a positive way, right? And maybe you don't understand certain concepts that are in geometry. Well, then if you're the 110%er, you're going to find out what these concepts are, how they work, why they work the way they work, and learn it. And before too long, you've now accomplished it and it comes easy. Why is that? When you had something that you despised and you said you couldn't do, now you've done it and you're doing well at it. What's the difference? It's how you view it and how you're looking at it, and that you applied yourself. And that is pretty much anything in life. I know my biggest accomplishments in life, you would think, would be business, right? But it's not. It's being a good dad and a good grandfather and a good friend. Those are my three biggest accomplishments. When early on, if someone would have told me, about fatherhood, could I do it? I would have told them no. But I kind of got tossed in by baptism, which means here we had a son on the way. We didn't know it was a son, but we had a child on the way. And my whole mindset changed, because all I worried about was myself up to that point, right? But now I had two other people in my life that were as if not more important than me, myself. And I made a pact with myself that I would do whatever it took to keep my family out of harm's way, and I would work whatever I had to work to provide income. I would do what was needed to be done. And when I first started working with a family on the way, I took a job that was 6 days a week. And I started at 5 in the morning, or I was supposed to start at 5 in the morning till 8:30 at night. And that was Monday through Saturday. I got Sundays off if the boss's son would show up for milking. If not, I'd get a call, or she'd come down and get me. But I was resolute. I was determined that I was going to do whatever it took. And whatever it took was, for the 6 day week job, I got like $60 a week. And the trailer we were renting was costing $150 a month. So my first 3 weeks' pay pretty much went to rent. And I got to the point where I couldn't afford to put gas in the truck. So what I would do is I would get up at 3:30, quarter to 4 in the morning, grab a quick cup of coffee, and I would walk to work. And it was about 3.5 miles to walk. And I would get there before my boss, her name was Mary, and it was a dairy farm. I would get there before anybody would be there. And during the summer months, I get the cows in. I get them in their stanchials. I get, feed down in front of them. I get everything all ready to go to milk, so that when she walked down through that door with her cup of coffee, all she had to do was start milking. And I would help her with the milking. But that part, I waited on her because that was her she was great at cows and milking and knowing what to do when to get milk. And she gave me a lot of advice that I couldn't have got anywhere else, and life advice and farming advice and how to become a better dad and how to, stick with stuff. But I did that for quite a while, and I went from like 190 pounds down to 162 because I was committed to doing whatever it took to take care of my wife and child. And then when advancements came along, because I knew I didn't want to do just this, I decided I wanted to have my own place. And I was 19 at the time. And it was unheard of for someone, even in their 30s, to have a dairy farm of their own. And like Amos did with what you did, Amos, with working your way up through and getting higher ranks over a shorter period of time. By the time I was 22, I owned my own dairy farm, and I was milking 70 head. How did that happen? Well, it's because I decided that I had to take care of my family, but then I also, with the advice from Marion, that was my boss, of how to dairy farm, of things to look for, things to avoid, great advice, financial advice. I was able to go up the ranks a lot faster because I listened. I was open to it. I wanted to hear it. I wanted to have my own dairy farm. So I got it. And when it comes to college, when I was in high school, I told you yesterday you could play checkers, right? But when I went back to college in my late 30s, I had decided this is something that I wanted to do. And the thing is, I never considered myself smart, book smart. Common sense wise, yeah, but I never felt that I could accomplish college because I just wasn't that, mindset, right? But at that point, it was something that I decided I wanted to accomplish. I wanted to add to things that I had accomplished in my life. And not only did I do it, I did my 2-year degree with honors. With honors. And then at the end of the 2-year degree, the college that I was going to had just put together a brand new 4-year degree in information technology, programming and all that. And I thought that was his way of telling me, keep going. You've shown yourself you can do a 2-year. Finish it and do the 4. And I did. And I graduated top of my class with highest honors. It's not to brag, it's to tell you that anything you want to accomplish, you can accomplish if you apply yourself. And apply yourself in the right directions. You have the tools. You have listening skills that you need to hone in. And you need to decide what it is you want to accomplish. And then do it. When's the best time to do it? Today. Start today on those things that you want to accomplish. Why is there such a variance on what it costs to start a business? On different YouTubers are talking about, how to get in the business. Well, it's because there's different locations, right? And whether you're out in the country or in the city, is going to be a difference. Your state and local governments and the regulations they have are going to be different. But it's where you want to come in at. If you've listened to me at all, I try to tell you, keep as little debt as possible. And get in and get your feet wet and find out, is this something you really want to do? It's a lot easier to say, you know what, I screwed up. This is not my bag. And be able to walk away and find something different that you might enjoy versus being strapped with a bunch of debt now that you've got a second mortgage on your house. You got floor planning of hundreds of thousands of dollars. You got the buildings, you got and now you've got a mess. The biggest thing I see people is they want it too fast. And they want it where they don't have to put forth an effort. Is starting it with little to no debt, part-time, and working your way up, and then work over to full-time, going to take you longer? Yeah. Yep. But you're going to be building on a good solid foundation. Each step that you take. When you go out and even if you buy a business that's already up and running, a small engine repair business, and you take on the employees that are there and this and that, you don't have a solid foundation. We don't even know if you have any business sense yet. You come up with the money somehow to buy this guy out, but there's no guarantee that the business is going to continue to be profitable with you at the helm versus him. Because you may not have the business savvy that he does, or the mantra that he was talking to. And then the other thing I see, guys, don't get wrapped up in the tool debate of Harbor Freight versus Snap-on. Is Snap-on a really good quality tool? Absolutely. But if you're first starting out, and I've been at it for a long time, we use Harbor Freight. My tool chest at home, Craftsman. And that's only because my wife bought me a Craftsman set. And so I have the Craftsman set. So I'm going to start wrapping this up. The main thing from today's video that I want you to walk away with is anything you decide you want to do and you're willing to put forth the effort, you will do well. If you're not committed to doing it and you half-ass it, why would you expect to get, the same results as someone that is committed and has a mantra and is marching to that mantra? You're not. You need to decide what is important in life to you and what it is that you want to accomplish. Life is short. Don't put off, what you enjoy doing. And never let your mind talk you out of things. Like when it came to college for me, I never thought I would have the skill set or the patience to be able to accomplish it. I just didn't think it was in my repertoire. But I showed myself that there is nothing in life that I can't accomplish if I apply myself and decide to do it. And same holds true for you. As far as cost for a small engine repair shop, different locations and all that, each person is different. But if you want a good solid foundation, if you want to become a really good small engine mechanic, a lot of times if you can get paired up with a mechanic that's got 20, 30 years underneath the belt and your listening skills are good, you will become a good mechanic. And you will learn the tricks because that person is willing to tell you and give you advice because you're open to it. But if you come in, with a snarky attitude of, I already know how to turn wrenches and this and that, you're shutting them down. They're not going to give you advice. They're not going to give you the wisdom they have. So on that note, you guys have a great Tuesday, and we'll catch you here bright and early tomorrow morning. Again, thanks so much for watching, and you guys that are subscribing, thank you. And the guys that, who you are, that are coming that don't believe in subscribing. I appreciate you just as much. So thank you so much. See you tomorrow morning.